Welcome back to another episode of Excuse My Grandma. It's Kim and my co-host,
Grandma Gail.
So this week we're going to have a conversation all about food.
Oh, this is your favorite kind of thing.
Why do you say that?
Because you love to go to different restaurants and you love to see who's eating what. So this should be very interesting.
And people get major brownie points when they pick good restaurants, for sure.
Well, wait a minute. You're one of your best. Of course, it's not any date that you're dating now, but one of the most creative ones was somebody who did a picnic basket on the beach for you in Florida. I thought that was one of the coolest things I had ever heard.
To do a picnic?
Didn't he do a picnic on the beach?
With sushi?
I don't remember.
Yeah, but it was
sushi.
a good sushi restaurant. It wasn't like I made you a tuna fish sandwich. I don't think I would have liked that.
No.
I like picnics, but I'm just saying, like, good
Well,
food is important to me.
Exactly. It's also about the presentation.
Yes.
I mean, that to me is the most important thing. I think actually what my favorite restaurants are the ones that have the prettiest, I guess, backdrops. I like to look out at the water. I love to go to the boathouse in Central Park. Because my favorite restaurants are the ones that are really ugly and just are in some kind of brownstone where you don't see anything, no lights, no nothing, but the food's delicious.
Right.
So, but that's different than going on a date in a restaurant. I think if I was dating now, I'd like to have a little more atmosphere and not care that much about the food because you're really not going to eat that much anyway when you're on a date.
What if you are really, really hungry, though, and then you get to the date and then, like, I feel like I've gone on dates where they're like, do you want to just split like an appetizer I ate before? And I'm like, no.
Well, I think I remember when I was dating, which was in the prehistoric ages, I used to eat a little something before I went out. My mother used to say, don't be hungry on a date. Always have a little snack at home first. So I'm not sure what the actual protocol is, but I do think the atmosphere is like 80% of what's important to me, and 20% is the food because I really don't care.
Do you have any restaurants you would recommend to people in New York City?
Well, I like everything, but I love what New York City has done with all the outdoor dining.
Yeah.
I think Serafina did a great job. I think...
Well, we go to Nectar this...
Oh, that's my favorite, though, but it's the worst atmosphere. But it's all
No,
right.
it's just a diner.
George worked very hard. He put up 2 flower pots, and he's got the best Cobb wraps in town.
It's the most overpriced diner in the United States of America.
But we love it, and we want him
good.
to stay. And we want him to stay in business, so we go no matter what.
And it's very convenient uptown.
That's true.
To our house.
And there are very few places like where you live, we can't find a coffee shop.
No.
That's almost like a dying breed. I don't know where all the coffee shops have gone. I guess they couldn't pay the rents.
No, there are definitely coffee shops throughout New York City. Have you heard of this La Colombe? People, we're going to get shit for this because, like, it's a very popular coffee shop. Or like, you know, it's a chain, I think, or there's a few of them throughout the city and people love it. But I didn't know what that was. And I think it's like saying like, what's Starbucks? Like,
I don't know where it is. Where are they located?
I know there's 2 on the Lower East Side.
Okay. Well,
I'm not sure about the others.
All right. Well, you know I'm the last to know.
Okay, I'm looking up how many La Colombes there are. Oh, there's 30 locations.
Oh my gosh.
But
all
not
in New York City?
No, New York, Boston, California, Chicago, DC.
Oh, so it's a chain.
Yeah, there's 8 in New York, Bryant Park, Soho.
Oh, so they're mostly downtown.
Tribeca, Wall Street, NoHo, Hudson.
Well, they hear where the young people are.
They're all downtown.
And what's the menu?
Except for there's one 40th and 6th. I'm pretty sure it's just coffee.
Okay. All right.
I don't know. Apparently, like, it's crazy that we don't know what this is.
Okay. Well, you're not a lover of coffee, so why would you?
Yeah, I drink coffee every morning.
Right. Okay.
But
you're not going down to the West Village to have a cup of coffee.
No.
So
I just use the espresso.
Right. I was just going to say, I mean, it's a bit much. If you're working in the area where these are, I'm sure we would know about it.
I dated someone once who was a coffee snob. Like, it's not even in a bad way, but like the guy was like, I will only drink like my own ground coffee beans from this region.
Oh my, this is too much. This is too much.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's like, if you're going to do that, don't look down on people who use the Keurig and espresso. Like, we're not that bad of a
species.
No. There's the people who are obsessed with coffee, people who are obsessed with wine.
Correct.
Poppy likes wine.
Oh, he used to. Well, he went to all kinds of classes to learn about red wine and white wine. Yeah, I mean, he loves it. But none of us can drink it very much anymore. So we've stopped buying it, and we used to have loads of red wine in our cellar. But yeah, it was a wonderful thing. We used to go on vacations and go to all the different restaurants, and we'd go sometimes to a 4-star for lunch and a 4-star for dinner. And
have you done like the Napa trip?
I was in Napa many years ago. We've done all of that. It's great because, I mean, we love food and we love wine, but I couldn't do it anymore. I mean, I must honestly say you got to do it when you're young because, first of all, my tolerance for liquor is 0.
But you know what? Sometimes I wonder, like, when it's a better bottle of wine, like if you don't get as drunk.
You don't get as drunk because the tannins are not as strong.
Yeah.
But you still get...
Everyone's like, you idiot. Everyone knows that. Like, oh, sorry. Because like this guy I'm dating is so into wine and like we split a bottle and I don't even feel anything.
Oh, well, I wouldn't drink more than... I wouldn't drink a whole bottle myself. I think you should pace yourself. Remember, your grandma never could hold more than 2 glasses.
Yeah, Mom said that you would be like in the toilet.
I would be dead.
Home.
I would be on the cold floor, and I was already married with children, and I would be dead because Papi used to like to have white wine, red wine, and after dinner drink and port and all that stuff, and I would keep up with it until a certain point, and then I was gone. And then I was sick, so I would end up never really doing it again for a couple of months, and then I'd forget.
With like cancer treatment, you don't do.
Well, once you have cancer, you're not supposed to drink very much anymore. It's very not good for you. I don't think alcohol is good for anybody, really.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's
more
a
than one glass. It's all right to have it and chill out a little bit, but I think excessive drinking certainly doesn't lead to good health.
Yeah, although there are all those studies that's like a glass of wine a day keeps the doctor away.
Well, I never heard that. I think that's an apple.
No, it's they say that with red wine, I think.
Oh, all right.
I don't really know. I find it funny, like the couples, like when you're out at a restaurant, looking at other couples at dinner tables, like some just sit and eat in silence the entire time. Some like
those are the married ones.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Well, they've already said everything before, and they probably just want to eat dinner and go home and go watch Netflix.
I guess. So you mean you've been in that situation, like you'll be at a table and with Poppy, and it's just
sometimes that happens to every couple. You've either had a bad day or you have nothing to say.
Right. But yeah, I remember like that started to happen to me in my like long relationship by the end. And I was like, I don't know if at like 23, I'm ready to just like not be able to have any more dinner conversations.
No, I think by 23, you should have plenty to say.
Yeah.
Certainly by 25, you should certainly still be talking.
I wanted to talk a little bit about like Jewish food and like how food is part of like family and culture.
I think Jewish food is just a matter of depends from region to region. I think what is more important is that the meals center around the family. So if you're from an Italian region and be Jewish, there would be a certain like artichokes with garlic and different things, antipasto. If you were from France, it would be a different type of cuisine. But it's basically what families have around the table is the camaraderie and talk about their days and talk about their problems. And I think that was very, very important and still, unfortunately, should be important. But because of the generational issues and that kids go off to different areas and don't really come back to where the family originates from, which is just normal now, it's hard to have these kind of family dinners. And so Thanksgiving or the Jewish holidays or Easter or whatever you celebrate tends to be a focus of where families get together and celebrate food because food brings people together.
Mm-hmm. Are there any favorite dishes from our culture that you particularly like?
Well, I used to like food most when my grandmother made it. So I have to honestly say, I think I remember, those are the foods that I remember as a child. I used to love to smell in her kitchen the stuffed cabbage cooking. That was something, which she was a wonderful cook. That was my favorite. One of the other things that she made that was absolutely delicious was she made a banana cake that was really, I don't know how anybody else makes it, but hers was tasted so much better than my mother's or mine. Whatever she put in, it must have been a secret ingredient. But I think the most important things are the memories that you associate with the food, and whether it be Hanukkah and you remember the potato pancakes dipped in the applesauce. I mean, all those things bring back memories more so than the food. The food probably really, in retrospect, was terrible. and we used to criticize whether the pot roast or the brisket or however you
While
called
you're eating it, it's like dog food. But
it wasn't so good.
Yeah.
Or it was too dry, or it was too
well, even if it was
gravy.
amazing, we would find a way to complain.
Exactly. Well, that's part of the conversation was complaining.
Yes. So those dishes, a lot of them you learned from.
Well,
like
I think you learn from I think you learn from your mother, and she learned from her mother, and those get handed down.
What do you make now? That
a reservation.
Well, I haven't cooked in a while.
I haven't cooked in a while because, when my kids were young, I used to cook every day, and we'd have dinner on the table every night. Now, none of it was all that great, but I made a wicked lamb chop. I mean, it was a very good lamb chop.
Let's get into our conversation today with Jeremy Jacobowitz. He is a food blogger. I just showed you some of his pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, he looks so fun.
It's just such a good job, right?
Well, it's a good job. We have to see what he thinks about it.
Yeah, so let's hear what he has to say.
Okay,
we are joined by Jeremy Jacobowitz. He is a food blogger, a content creator. I love following him. Thanks for being with us on Excuse My Grandma.
Yeah, excited to meet you guys.
Yeah, and we watched it. Kimmy showed me a few things, and I love Bobby Flay, so I heard you were with him for a while, and I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah, Bobby's the dude. I was his PA for a number of years, so I was like his assistant on set for like non-TV people, and it was the best job I'll ever have. Way more. This job is fun, but it was such a unique and crazy experience just being able to be around someone like that, so successful and so cool and so incredible, and like that was the biggest learning experience on every level for me.
Right. I love his barbecues. That was the best. He made the best barbecues. He beat everyone, Kimmy. There was nobody there. Yeah. He never lost.
So funny. Did you always love food? Like, was it something ingrained in your family life, or how did you kind of like decide to go into that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, food is always an important part of my life, just because I liked eating food. But that was really from my mom. She always stressed that I had to try everything. Like that was like the number one rule of like, little kids like don't want to eat anything, but she was like, put it in your mouth, and if you don't want it, you can spit it out. And I never spit it out. But even like the first solid food I ever ate, not that I remember this, but obviously this is stories that my parents tell me. The first solid food I ever ate was Chinese food. It was like mushy pork or something like that.
Well, that's Sunday night.
So it's like that sort of like set the trend, obviously, for a lot of what I do now. But there's no thought to work in food necessarily. Like I love food. I cooked growing up, but I always say like I cooked because I was hungry. Like my parents worked and I would just be hungry, so I'd have to make dinner.
Wait, Grandma, was I ever a picky eater?
No, I think you were actually a good eater. You liked food.
Oh, yeah, I still do. I just didn't know if that was like that.
No, I don't think you were. Well, who knows? Your mother wasn't such a great cook, so you didn't have that many choices. You had pasta and you ate it.
Yeah, I feel like I was in like late 90s, early 2000s. I feel like it was very much the time of like Pop-Tarts and Entenmann's and like all of those processed foods.
Oh yeah. I mean, my mom was pretty strict about what was in the house, but like it was the 90s. Everything in the house was, looking back, terrible for you.
Yeah.
But she definitely stressed, like it was definitely like a no soda house. Like we were definitely that family.
Oh, you would get along with her, Kimmy, because you're very strict.
Yeah.
I like all the junk. I like the Hostess. I eat junk. I love it. Hostess Twinkies are my thing.
It's so bad. Jeremy, I don't know if you would like love this or hate this about her, but she literally like will go out to lunch and she'll be like, I'll have the pancakes, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and a Diet Coke. Thank you. And I'm like, are we 12?
I respect. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to be my order, but I respect it.
It's a big fight. We're not good on ordering together. That's for sure.
What's funny about my grandmother, what she used to do was she was like, she never wanted to like admit that she wanted food. So we would sit down, go to diner or whatever. And she would be like, well, what are you getting? What do you question everybody what they're getting? And she's like, I'll just have like a small side salad. She's like, but he's going to have this and he's going to have this. And then she'd eat off of everybody's plate. So she didn't really eat it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was her way.
There were no calories involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like when calories don't count when you're standing up, like when you're in the kitchen and you're just grabbing everything, like you feel like it's not going to count. So going back a little bit, since this is a dating podcast, tell us about your current relationship status and a little bit about your relationship history.
Sure. Well, short, so it's easy. I am single. I've only honestly had one girlfriend my entire life, and that was 9 years ago, something like that.
All right.
So then, yeah, there you go. There's the history.
That's it. That's it.
Done.
All right. Who cares?
Like close. I would say this year came the closest to then having another relationship, but that did not work out. But yeah, that's it.
Did you ever get pressure from your grandma that you were just talking about, or even from your parents when it comes to like settling down or finding someone?
Definitely my mom. My grandmother sadly passed away much earlier than she would have been upset about it. My mom tries to like be passive aggressive about it. She'll call me on, it's like some holiday, July 4th, say,
Right.
Oh, what are you doing for July 4th? It's like, I don't know, maybe I don't know, do this, whatever. She's like, oh, such a shame. I'm like, oh, what's a shame? She's like, these are the days that, it's nice to just have someone in your life with. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I'm more interested where you're going to eat, because that's what we like to do. You're based in the city.
Yeah. Yep. I'm in Brooklyn.
And you're in Brooklyn. Oh, that's the hot spot to be. And what's your favorite place in Brooklyn to, let's say, get a snack?
Okay, so to get a snack, actually, it's in my building. It's a place called Meckelberg's. So it's a second location. It's just, the way to describe it is like, it's an old school market-ish mixed with new school hipster vibes. So it's like everything you could ever imagine they have, from like, it's a bar and a restaurant and a grocery store and a market and a coffee shop. They have literally everything. And I go there like 3 to 4 times a day, because I have like healthy stuff and indulgent stuff and normal stuff and weird stuff and whatever. And I love it. I can't recommend it. I get like a tuna sandwich there every day.
That's great.
Well, since you like obviously have to eat out a lot for food blogging and things like that, like I'm guessing you do go by yourself a lot of the time, right?
Yeah. I mean, what I do, basically the way I get my content is I don't, like for the most part, food influencer people like do comp meals, and like they'll have the meal, they'll experience it, and they'll just like take some photos, do whatever video they can. I don't do that. Actually don't really do comp meals at all. The way I get my content is I base it all off of like what I did in TV. So I set up a shoot, I go in the kitchen. Normally they're closed, honestly. So yeah, I'm by myself, but whatever. I'm in the kitchen filming with the chef. I'm seeing how the dish is made. I'll go sit up front. I'll taste it on camera, and then I'll get the hell out of there. I did it for a few reasons. One, just filming wise and content wise, it's so much easier for me to get what I want by doing it that way. And two, just for like, it's just too much food. Like when you do a comp meal, it's just like, I'm very appreciative and it's amazing that they want to send out 1,000 dishes. But when you do that for 8 years straight, you're just like, I can't enjoy it. Like you can't enjoy it anymore. And also I just like want to enjoy restaurants. Like I'll go there and do stories and take some quick stuff, because I always want to support anywhere I go. But I'd rather just pay for this meal and then like not worry about like getting the perfect shot or getting this or getting that. Maybe I go there and like I have a few too many drinks and now I'm not taking any photos. Like I would feel terrible if it was a comp meal and like they were expecting like good photography and there I am with 5 drinks in or whatever. So I try and split them up as like shoots for main content. And then if I want to go out and enjoy a restaurant, great, let's go out and enjoy it. I'm happy to pay for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I used to be a PA at New York Live at NBC, and we would always go on field shoots at like all these different restaurants. And I loved it because the reporter would like have one tiny bite and then give it to us, like whatever she was eating. So that was
exactly
fun. Yeah. So when it comes to date spots in New York City, do you have go-to places maybe for a first date, some like that kind of vibe, and then also something like your favorite restaurant to take someone when you're a little bit maybe more serious?
Yeah.
We need help.
Yeah.
The audience needs help.
The audience needs help.
No, she doesn't need any help. She doesn't need any help. But the audience definitely calls in and asks for help.
So here's my approach to first dates specifically, because as I said, I only had one girlfriend, so it's mostly first dates.
Yeah.
I like just drinks on a first date. I think that it depends. Like if I'm going out with someone that I sort of know in some way, I've met them in my life, then cool, let's go get dinner, whatever. Like I'd rather go have a real experience. If I'm just meeting them for the first time because it's an app or whatever, I don't know. I'd rather just go get drinks. As one, it's like no pressure. Then it could last one drink, who cares? Or it could have 1,000 drinks, who cares? And it just like is an easier date. One of my favorite, I love MPO and Apple Store. It's in the East Village. So it's like pretty centrally low because I'm in Williamsburg, like central is like East Village. Like if you live in the Upper West Side, probably it's like, I'm not going to go out with them anyway. Yeah. So it's, I'm 34 now. I'm like, I know what I want.
It's too
Upper
much.
West Side, it's never going to happen.
You sound like Kramer in Seinfeld.
Yeah,
It's the nexus
exactly.
of the world.
Exactly. Long distance relationship. I don't want to do that. But I love tequila. I just always want to drink tequila. So they have amazing margaritas. They have amazing drinks, great tequila. And if you like the date is going well, they have like a bunch of tacos and snacks, and you could get food if you want it. So it's like the perfect mix. And it's very chill. It's never crazy. You could it's very easy to see. I also never want to stand on a date. Like I want to make sure I'm as comfortable as possible. And like standing on a date is a nightmare to me. Like you want to sit and be comfortable and chit chat.
I don't like being at a bar with somebody and having to like turn and look at them like this. Like I need to be at a table where I'm like sitting.
Well, I mean, if we're at a bar though, like I would twist and sit, but I want to be sitting. I want to be sitting.
Yeah, yeah.
This is so complicated.
To find love, you must be in this position.
That's why nobody can get more than one date, because it's so complicated. It's too much.
Well, you know.
What happened to a slice of pizza on a date with a soda? I mean, is there anything?
That could be like a late night thing,
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Slice of pizza is almost too short. You know, if it goes well, then you're like, oh, well, now what do we do? I guess we're going to get drinks. Yeah. And in terms of food, like, I think at that point, I don't know there's one specific place. Usually it's like, I do get invited to a million nice places. So, part of my job is like knowing what's hip and trending. Cool. So I would probably default to that. I was like, I have a, list of 100 restaurants or whatever that I want to get to. Oh, cool. I know this place just opened. I really want to try it anyway. Come out. But it is sort of like a little bit of a test in terms of like what they eat. I think that like, I'm such an adventurous eater, and I mean, literally it's my life. And I think that I enjoy sharing food and having be part of the experience, and to go out with someone that is, I could respect restricted. Yeah. It's like, I can respect restricted if you're like, listen, vegan's hard, but if you're like, I don't really eat red meat or something, or I don't eat a little bit of this, like, okay, like whatever. But if you're just like, I don't like picky things. Yeah. If you're picky, it's like, I can't
it's not
deal
worth
with
the
that.
effort.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like I want you to like be excited about this, because like, this is what excites me in life.
Yeah. I wonder that too, if a food lover can be with a non-food lover, or if it has to be like two people who love to go out and eat, or even like cook and try new things. Like,
because you love to do that.
I love to do that. And I feel like I've had relationships where it really was a huge conflict.
I mean, even just like, you think about like, if you want to be with this person, like, what does that mean? So like for me too, it's like, oh, traveling. It's like, well, what do I do when I travel? Like, I want to go run around and eat all the food. Like that's the only reason why I travel. So like, if they're not even excited about that, it's like, there's going to be all these barriers in a way of like what a relationship is if you're not on the same page about that.
Totally. So what about when you're on like a first, second, third date with someone and you guys are eating dinner? I feel like there's a lot of anxiety sometimes about like eating in front of people, especially when you're nervous or like trying to look cute. Are there certain foods where you're like, this is my safe go-to to order? Like no one's getting like spaghetti with tomato sauce, because maybe that could be an issue,
I think it's more the amount of food. Like I could eat a lot of food. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know, like if that's like what I want to show off right now. It's like, oh, like let's go eat sushi. It's like, it's always the question, like, how many rolls should we get? It's like, because you want, like, I'm like, I could eat a lot. Oh, okay, cool. We'll just do that. So
split two.
I usually end up probably eating less food, which is also good. Like, I don't want to stuff my face on a date anyway. But yeah, there's that, and just like the messy thing, like you do overthink it. But I think like I wouldn't be offended. Like I don't know if like. If I took a girl out and she got a bowl of spaghetti got all over her face, I wouldn't think that's a negative. Yeah, I'd be like, oh, that's funny.
I think whatever. It's funny.
Yeah, especially if she has like no shame around it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's food. Who cares?
Exactly.
Like you're enjoying yourselves. Have you had like a disaster dining experience with someone before?
No, not really. Mostly because as we as we keep getting back to it, there's very few dates that get to the dinner portion, I guess.
Yeah.
Certainly disaster dates, but not necessarily based around the food.
Yeah. Any disaster date you think could be fun to share?
Sure, this is a little bit of a long one, but I'll say this. I think that like men don't end up on a lot of disaster dates because women can hold in their crazy a lot. Like women can hold it in for like a few dates. Men are lunatics. So like
I could do it for like 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. Where men on the first date, if they're a wacko, like they cannot control themselves. So I think if you ask a woman, what's your worst date story? They'll have 100. Guys usually have a few. But my worst was I went out with this girl. We had like met years ago because of something, just like, one of those like meet, follow each other on Instagram, forget about it.
Yeah.
So then we matched on Hinge and we went out. So we went to go get drinks and we get a drink and she's just like mute, like just won't say anything, just staring off in the distance, not talking. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Like, listen, I've gone on a lot of dates. I could just talk. I have a lot of stories to tell. Right. This is fine. Who cares? So I'm talking. And also like try and want to stay on, you never want to like get ahead on drinks with somebody, especially if it doesn't seem like they're having a good time. Why bother it? So I finished my drink. She's like baby sips her drink and like talking. She's like, oh, can you like get me a glass of water? Okay, get a glass of water. She's like, I'm like, okay, well, clearly we're on the same page. She doesn't even want to drink anymore. This is like a nowhere date, but who cares? Whatever. Yeah, well, what's the difference? So whatever. We're like, I continue to talk, just like get through the moment. And she's like, you want to get the check? I'm like, oh, thank God. So my brain, I'm like, whatever, I'll go home, order food. This is going to be great. So I get the check, sign it. She looks at me, she goes, where are we going now?
No.
And I was like, oh God, like is she like literally she's staring off into the distance, not looking at me the entire time. So I'm like, okay. So at this point, I'm like, well, it was like a Thursday, Friday. I'm like, I guess I could just go get a drink and then go find my friends or something. Like, who cares? Okay. So I'm like, we could go to this other bar around the corner. Sure. So at this time, I'm like, no more rules. I don't care. I'm just drinking. She could sip on whatever she wants to sip on. So I'm just like pounding drinks, continues still talking. My voice is literally hoarse. Right. So I just stop. I'm like, I can't say any more words. She has nothing to say. I'll just be on my phone. It was like, whatever. What's the difference? So finally we leave. At this point, I've had like 6 drinks to her 2, barely. Oh, no. So we leave and she's like, I'm hungry. I was like, oh my God, this date's not ending, is it? So we had, she was basically mute, but I did remember she said that she liked Shake Shack fries. So we were by Madison Square Park. I was like, oh, we could go to Shake Shack and get fries. She's like, I don't know if I want that. So at this point, I had plans to go back to Williamsburg to meet with my friends. Mm-hmm. And I was like, listen, I don't really know what you want, but I'm going to Williamsburg. If you want to go in that direction, there's plenty of food in Williamsburg. Yeah. Okay. So we get in the car.
She got in the car?
So she got in the car and immediately she's like, I'm blackout. I was like, what? What do you mean? I was like, oh my God. Like now I can't just like dump this girl when I get home. Like I don't want to dump her on like the street.
Blackout drunk.
Blackout drunk. She didn't drink anything. She
was like very tiny and she said she didn't eat or drink anything all day. Listen, it still is confusing to me, but whatever. And you just, I don't know. I don't feel like if I'm blackout, I just announce it. Like usually you don't know, but anyway. So I'm like, oh my God. So we get back to Williamsburg. So now I'm just like, well, like I gotta like again, like I'm just gonna leave her. I'm not gonna leave her in a car. I'm not gonna leave her in the street.
Yeah.
So we like get some food and get some water. She gets something in her, and like finally, I'm like, are you like okay to get home?
No,
finally?
She wants to go to your apartment.
Yeah.
No, she didn't want. I don't know what she wanted, but finally, I was like, I don't want to be around you anymore. I just want you to go home and like be safe and just like.
Is that how it ended?
Yeah, I was just like, I was like, are you okay to get home? So I'll get you an Uber or whatever. She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. Here's an Uber.
I figured she had a plan.
Yeah, me too.
I think she had a plan.
Maybe what did she did want to go home with
she
you,
wanted you.
She didn't see like that from you and then just like gave up.
I mean, we were clearly not on the same page by anything that night.
Well, she didn't know that.
I guess that wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. I just feel like it's very possible that she did something before and already was like drunk when she arrived.
She was zoned out right from the beginning.
I don't know, but she's
already out of it.
Baby, even then, it's like we were out for like 3 hours at that point. Yeah. Like I don't know.
There's no point
overanalyzing. It's a bad date.
Yeah. Glad I asked.
You've had that this winter. You had one like that.
Oh, endless. Yeah. It's just so hard when like you're so clearly like gotta get up early tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Where's the check? Not drinking that much tonight. Like, how many things can you say to give
Yep.
someone that idea before being like,
Yep.
I don't see a connection. Like, let's not waste another 4 hours. Like,
Mhm.
and it just happened. This restaurant just was so slow. Like when the check, like
See,
we
that
always
was your
say this.
mistake before going to a restaurant. This is why I drink
True.
in and out. We're done. Sign the bill. You
Yeah.
could have that one drink. You'd be like, you could just leave at that point too.
I
If he's
know.
really not getting it, like the middle of dinner to get up is odd. If you just like go to the bathroom and sneak away after 2 drinks.
Oh my God, I would
think it's
never.
okay.
I would never.
No, Kimmy's too nice. She's too nice.
I would feel so bad. I feel like I would rather get to the altar with someone and then be like, sorry, I actually never felt it from day one. Sorry, it's a little late. Yeah, I feel like actually more recently people have asked for dinner first dates. I think it might be like a little bit of an age thing. I've noticed that older guys ask, whereas younger guys,
You
I
know
don't
why? Part of it is, I think, with older guys is they're trying to prove something. So if they think they're competing with younger guys, these guys are like, well, I got money. Then he'd be like, yeah, I'll take you to dinner. Yeah. Oh, what, that schmuck will just take you to some sports bar.
Yeah.
Like it is that, like, I always say too, like, I think the bigger the date plans by the guy, like the more like insecure he is. Cause like he's trying to like, I don't know what would be, we're going to fly to Toronto. I don't know, whatever it is. It's like, you're clearly
Small
like
dick.
worried about something. Yeah, exactly. Small dick energy at least. If not, yeah, exactly. So that's why it's like, no, just like chill. It's fine. There's nothing to prove.
Right.
If you are
I feel like
it's a first date, you know?
it depends, like also how the girl is going to perceive it, because some people might be really turned off by that. And some people might be like, oh, that sounds like a really nice plan. Like, sure. You know?
Right. I guess, yes. If you find that girl that is looking for that, then wonderful, it worked out for you.
Right.
Okay. So now give us your business. I want to hear about your favorite city. Is New York your favorite for food?
Oh, yeah. New York's the best. I mean,
it is the best.
I go to, not past year because of everything, but I go to LA a lot. LA is amazing just because it's so big and it's so diverse, and it might even be a little bit more my food style, just because I like love Asian food.
You love
Mexican
Asian
food, and like this, honestly, it's amazing stuff here, but nothing like LA, because there's so much just the, you know, the influx of people coming from Asia and Mexico, and LA is, you know, like nowhere else. So maybe, and it's a little more like, the more like low key places in LA are really good, where it's hard to be a low key place in New York City because it's just too expensive. Like, you're never going to be able to have that rent if you're low key.
I wanted to hear also a little bit for those who don't know about your weight loss journey. You lost over 100 pounds, right?
Yep.
On purpose.
100%. Yeah. So this is all before I worked in food, which is like the irony in my whole life was like, I was really overweight when I worked in sports, and I ended up leaving sports and went into food, but having lost the weight right before going into food. You know, I was always overweight growing up forever. There wasn't a time that I don't remember not being overweight. And yeah, I lost 100 pounds. Like, it's hard for me to remember exactly the weight because I didn't weigh myself. I just sort of generally remember, but basically, so I'm 6'4", and I weighed like the numbers I use like 290, which is like very obese basically.
No, not so bad.
I feel like most of
I mean, by math,
I think everybody in our family is that way.
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
It's where it is on your body, maybe.
Yes.
Right. But so, yeah, I was just like, I was 23, 24. So I was at the time I was working in WWE. That was my last job in sports TV. I had broken up with that girlfriend.
The one girlfriend.
Grandma, why are you
just,
it in?
I want to make sure I'm getting the story right. This is important.
Yeah, it's fine. And you know, so I was like in a job that I didn't know where it was going. The only relationship had ended very, very badly. And to me, it was just like, okay, well, I want to change something. And like, what can I take control of to change? And it was the weight. I was like, this is something that I know I can do and I need to do. And I can't blame this on anyone else. If you don't get the job you want, there's a million people you could blame. There's a million things that could happen. If you don't get the girl you want, there's a million things that could happen. For you to take control of your weight, not that weight loss is easy for anybody, but it is something, if you work on, generally you'll see some results. So I always say this, like, I worked with a dietitian. My approach to weight loss now, because it's still something I deal with all the time, and it's still something I work ridiculously hard at to maintain and do what I want to do with my body, is I always say that like everyone's body is completely different and needs completely different things, which is why I worked with a nutritionist who came up with a diet plan and a workout strategy. And I mean, like I lost 80 pounds within a few months. And I lost another 20 over a year. And I always say too, like diets are good to kick off stuff. And then you have to develop your lifestyle. Because I think like what you see when people lose a lot of weight are two things. Either they lose a lot of weight and they're never able to have a good relationship with food again. And I'll admit, like, it was terrifying to eat real food again. Because my diet I was on was shakes and bars throughout the day.
Oh, wow.
And then the most basic chopped salad you'd ever imagine, no dressing, very little anything at night. And I only did that for months.
It's like almost starvation.
Yeah. I mean, it's a calorie deficit on top of working out.
Right.
So sometimes you do that and you lose the weight and then you can never get back to normal with food, which sucks. I love food.
Yeah.
It's not healthy mentally or even physically at that point. Two, you see people rubber bands, which is as soon as they're off their diet, they just gain all the way back. I'm like very, very happy that, I had put back on over the course of a number of years. I put back after losing 100, I put back on another 20, but now I've since lost that again. But generally I've been able to maintain all of this while still, as everyone sees on my Instagram, I still eat all the food I want to eat, but I really do eat healthy a lot. I work out every single day. I'm a maniac with it because there is still that fear and that drive and that motivation of like, I don't want that to be part of what I do. Again, this isn't healthy for everyone. So people don't necessarily have to do what I do, but like I weigh myself every single morning and I document it. It's a scale that says fat percentage, water percentage, blah, 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 blah. Just sort of, I like seeing what I do to my body and what effect that has the next day. I put on a few pounds today because of this, but whatever. I know I can lose it because I just know I can do it. So it's helpful for me, but it's been able to find that balance, which I think has been really, really critical.
Do you have any advice for people who either like eat healthy or on a diet or like have a balanced diet about not feeling guilty when they do indulge? Because I have so many friends who like eat totally fine and then they'll beat themselves up for a week because they had a bowl of pasta.
Yeah, no. I think they absolutely just have to have some perspective of like, enjoy food, love food, but have the balance. And if you want to eat that bowl of pasta, like go enjoy that bowl of pasta, but maybe the next day eat something a little healthier. Maybe the next day do this workout or whatever. And just like, don't make it be consistent. I think like cheat days are kind of silly to me, but like, to me, it's like, I pick which meals I want to indulge in a little bit more, but like my breakfasts are basically always the same every morning. It's super healthy. My lunches are tuna sandwiches or whatever every day. Like they're very healthy throughout the week. And then my dinners, I have to get back on a little bit better of a dinner regimen, but generally
I have the same thing. Like I feel like everyone by 6 p.m. you're kind of like, I was fine today. I'm gonna have all
starving.
Yeah, exactly. You're starving. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining us. This was so fun. Tell our listeners how they can follow you and everything else they need to know.
Sure. Yeah. It's just Jeremy Jacobowitz everywhere now. Officially, I got that name changed. So Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are the main social channels.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're terrific.
I hope you all enjoyed the interview with Jeremy. It was really fun.
Yeah, we really liked him. He was very, very personable, and it's a fun job.
Yes. So you guys know the drill. Follow us on Instagram @excusemygrandma and on TikTok @excusemygrandma. Write in your questions. You can either DM us. Do you remember what that means? We talk about it literally every episode. It's direct message. You slide into the DM.
Okay.
Leave us a review, 5 stars.